World War II is the most interesting and historical event in our history. This war gave us a lot of things like countries, heroes and devils. Today our topic is about a Japanese single soldier in World War II, who fought in World War II until 1974. Yes, until 1974. His story is very interesting, so let's start. First, please subscribe now for more interesting videos. The name of this soldier is Hiroo Onoda, who was born on March 19, 1922, in Kamikawa village. When he was 18, he was enlisted in the Imperial Japanese Army Infantry. Onoda trained as an intelligence officer in the commando class Futamata. At the time World War II, on December 26, 1944, Hiroo Onoda was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines. He was ordered to do all he could to stop enemy attacks on the island. Onoda's commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, forbade him to surrender or die by his own hand. He said, "It may take 3 years, it may take 5, but whatever happens, we'll come back for you. Until then, so long as you have one soldier, you are to continue to lead them." Onoda took these words so seriously. When he landed on the island, Onoda joined forces with a group of Japanese soldiers who had been sent there previously. The officers in the group outranked Onoda and prevented him from carrying out his assignment, which made it easier for the United States and Philippine Commonwealth forces to take control of the island when they landed on February 28, 1945. Within a short time of the landing, all these Japanese soldiers had either died or surrendered except Onoda and 3 others. But Onoda was on his commander order. He rejected to surrender. He hid in the mountains with 3 fellow soldiers and continued his campaign as a Japanese holdout. They had no idea that war was stopped. In October 1945, they saw a leaflet announcing that Japan had surrendered and the war ended on August 15. Come down from the mountains. Onoda and his crew deduced the leaflet had to be Allied propaganda, a way to trick them into surrendering, something Onoda was under strict orders not to do. In late 1945, leaflets were airdropped all over Lubang Island with a surrender order printed from General Tomoyuki Yamashita of the 14th Area Army. But again, this crew consider it false news. Not knowing about the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the group rightly so believed it very unlikely that Japan would surrender. The group also believed their continued shootouts with police were proof the war was still ongoing, and they were also involved in guerrilla activities. After fighting 4 years for Japan, in 1949, one of Onoda's 3 men, Private Yuichi Akatsu, left the group and surrendered to Filipino forces. After 5 years, in May 1954, another fellow was shot and killed by a search party after he opened fire on his potential rescuers. And then Onoda's last fellow Kozuka was killed by 2 shots fired by local police on October 19, 1972, when he and Onoda, as part of their guerrilla activities, now Onoda was alone. Onoda has strictly followed the commander order who forbade him to surrender. Onoda was in war for more than 25 years. Then on February 20, 1974, Onoda met a Japanese man, Norio Suzuki, who was in search of Onoda. They both became friends. Suzuki forced him to come back in Japan, but Onoda still refused to return back and surrender, saying that he was waiting for orders from a superior officer. Suzuki took a picture with Onoda, bring it in Japan. So Suzuki, having heard Onoda's story from the man himself, located his former commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi. Fulfilling his promise from decades ago, he flew to Lubang, and finally met with Onoda and fulfilled a promise he had made back in 1944. The former major ended Onoda's orders in person, and ordered him to return back and surrender. At that time Onoda's 30 years journey was going to end. Onoda was thus properly relieved of duty. It's his time to return back, but he was responsible for the deaths of over 30 innocent people during his campaign. But Onoda was granted an official pardon by the Filipino government as he believed the war was still going on. On March 13, 1974, after 29 years, soldier returns to Tokyo. He was already a national hero when he arrived in Tokyo, met by his aging parents and huge flag-waving crowds. More than patriotism or admiration for his grit, his jungle saga, which had dominated the news in Japan for days, evoked waves of nostalgia and melancholy. The 52-year-old soldier, a ghost from the past in a new blue suit, close-cropped military haircut and wispy mustache and chin whiskers, spoke earnestly of duty, and seemed to personify a devotion to traditional values. Japanese really proud of his soldier. Hiroo Onoda mentions about his life circumstances in his book No Surrender. And if you want to watch more real-life stories, here on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Bye bye.